It is Sunday, the 29th of March, 2015. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church in Montreal, starting my little protest against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. And one of the most outrageous injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy of the Unitarian Universalist religious community is to falsely accuse me of the archaic crime of blasphemous libel for allegedly, and I do say allegedly, making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. This attempted misuse of Canada's blasphemy law to cover up and hide the fact that certain Unitarian Universalist ministers actually do engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, and have even been charged, tried, and convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, took place on June 1st of 2012, so a little over 2.5 years ago, moving towards 3 years ago. This is definitely a Unitarian perversion of justice. This Unitarian perversion of justice picket sign predates that particular perversion of justice, but certainly, trying to misuse blasphemy law in Bill Cosby style legal bullying that is clearly intended to conceal the fact that Unitarian Universalist ministers have in fact committed such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape is, as I said, one of the most outrageously hypocritical things that the Unitarian Universalist religious community has done. And when I say Unitarian Universalist religious community, well, it might be fair to say, well, the Unitarian Universalist Association is not the Unitarian Universalist religious community as a whole, but it is the primary representative of the Unitarian Universalist religious community in America, to say nothing of the world. It could be thought of as the Unitarian Universalist equivalent to the Vatican in Rome for the Roman Catholic Church. When Pope Francis says something, when the Vatican issues a statement or does something, thank you, nice little friendly honk there from a regular supporter. When the Vatican makes some sort of pronouncement, well, that reflects on the Roman Catholic community as a whole. So when the UUA as an institution hires Spikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors litigation lawyer Maître Marc-André Colombe to have me served with an arrogant and aggressive cease and desist demand letter, which amongst other highly questionable accusations falsely accuses me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel in an effort to intimidate me into removing blog posts about Unitarian Universalists who've actually been convicted of rape. Well, I think it is fair to say that in that sense alone, the Unitarian Universalist religious community as a whole is guilty. But the fact of the matter is, as I said, this is well over 2.5 years ago that this happened. This is coming up for 3 years that this happened. Within days of this false accusation being made, I demanded that the Unitarian Universalist Association must formally withdraw that false accusation and publicly apologize for making it. They have not done so. They've stubbornly refused to do so. And in the ensuing 2.5 years, I have brought this to the attention of hundreds, if not thousands, of Unitarian Universalists, and they've done absolutely nothing to condemn this perversion of justice by the UUA. Here's one of them, I think. Perhaps not. Let's see if this fellow goes into the church. No, I mistook him for someone else. There's a Montreal Unitarian who looks somewhat similar to this fellow, but he actually is a little chunkier and normally wears a suit. So I But the fact remains is that, literally hundreds, if not thousands, of Unitarian Universalists are aware of this outrageously hypocritical perversion of justice by the Unitarian Universalist Association, and they have not spoken out against it. They've done absolutely nothing or next to nothing to ensure that the Unitarian Universalist Association leaders who are most responsible for this attempted misuse of blasphemy law are held accountable for their participation in UUA legal bullying that attempts to cover up and hide the worst kind of clergy sexual misconduct. Unfortunately, the group of Unitarian Universalists that is perhaps most well known now in terms of confronting clergy sexual misconduct issues, has also done very little to ensure that Reverend Dr. President Morales or anyone else faces accountability for their attempted misuse of blasphemy law to cover up and hide pedophilia and rape, to say nothing of other false accusations. The UUA Board of Trustees and two UUA moderators, specifically current UUA moderator Jim Key and previous UUA moderator, see, there goes this young lady, 20-something, sees my picket signs, but she's more intent on looking at her smartphone than thinking about what's on the picket signs. She just blissfully ignores the fact that I am protesting against some very serious attempted misuse of blasphemy law to cover up and hide some very serious crimes. Now, I should say that as I said, the pedophiles and rapists that I blogged about were convicted of rape. So these aren't even crimes that have not been addressed, For the UUA to misuse blasphemy law to try and intimidate me into removing blog posts that are based on newspaper reports is quite frankly insane. It's one thing for for a religious community to try and cover up and hide clergy sexual abuse that hasn't come to light yet. There's obvious reasons for them to do that, and there's no question that the UUA does in fact try to do that when it is possible. But once it's public knowledge, once it's in newspaper reports and that, it's kind of ludicrous for the UUA to try and prevent the dissemination of that public knowledge, through blog posts and so on. So it's just very foolish behavior, really, by the UUA. And I was talking about how Unitarian Universalists, as a community as a whole, have failed to address this issue, to say nothing of other issues related to Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct. But this is truly outrageous. This is beyond the pale. By all rights, anyone who thinks of themselves as a bona fide Unitarian Universalist should speak out against this attempted misuse of blasphemy law. But no, I'm not aware of anyone. Well, now that I think about it, a small number of Unitarian Universalists on Twitter have in fact expressed, more or less privately with me, their agreement that this is wrong. In fact, most recently, a young woman, I believe a young woman, might be an older woman, but a young Twitter account holder who identifies herself as a Unitarian Universalist, or at least, claims to be sympathetic to Unitarian Universalism, agreed, that the facts are on my side, and that, that indeed the UUA, is in the wrong. So yeah, a small handful of Unitarian Universalists have acknowledged that this is wrong, including some people from UU Safety Net, you know, they know it's wrong, yet, unfortunately, in spite of requests on my part that they do so, UU Safety Net has not done anything to bring this shameful attempted misuse of blasphemy law to the attention of Unitarian Universalists in a public manner by, for instance, posting about it on the UU Safety Net blog, by, for instance, speaking out against it at the UUAGA during a plenary session, which I've requested that they do twice now. I asked them to do it in 2013. I asked them to do it again in 2014. They didn't do it. On top of that, UU Safety Net has suppressed comments that I've put on blog posts hosted by UU Safety Net, you know, bringing this matter to people's attention. They have not published the comments that I've made, even though my comments were well within the stated guidelines for their posts. And I must say that their stated guidelines are really open to question. They're really saying, oh, you have to play super nice, and you're not allowed to name anyone, etc., etc. You know, it's a bit much. You know, it's like people have a right to be angry. People have a right to state blunt truths. People have a right to name names. So for UU Safety Net to create this you know, comments policy that makes it difficult to speak the truth is also bothersome, to say the least. And it's looking very much like they have been co-opted by the UUA. So we shall see. Very unfortunate turn of events with UU Safety Net, who I always had quite a lot of respect for in the past, but I have reason to be disappointed with these days. You know, I knew that it seemed likely that UUA moderator Jim Key was going to present an inadequate apology to clergy sexual misconducts during the 2014 UUAGA. I wrote a letter, email to UU Safety Net expressing my concerns about that and asking them to ensure that